Howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it is time for some Path of Exile. And in this video I want to showcase the entirety of the Shaper's Realm for people that aren't familiar with the fight, including the climactic fight with the Shaper, who you'll have to fight 3 times in the zone. This is not the Uber Elder encounter, this is the normal Shaper encounter.
You little mouse. You don't belong here. Run along.
I do love that quote. Now, you'll enter in and there'll be 4 little areas that each mimic one of the maps that you're familiar with. And each one will have a boss that you fought before. This will be a tier 17 version, so they will be tougher, but they're not generally all that difficult.
Turn back, trespasser. Cease this madness.
The Shaper's voiceovers in here are amazing. They certainly make the place a lot of fun. One of the reasons I come back here, it's not worth it from a loot perspective to run the Shaper at this point in the league. But the fight, I mean, the fight's a bit of fun. The zone's cool. So these are this will be the Weaver of Madness. It is completely random which map bosses you get. There may be some that can't spawn. I'm not aware of that. But in my experience, it just feels like you're doing 4 random map bosses. I don't think I've seen any of the really recently added map bosses though. Your key goal here is to preserve all of your portals. You do not want to lose a single portal here to deaths, because the Shaper fight, whilst I believe I outgear it quite a bit, it is still considerably harder than this fight. So there we go, we've just taken out the second fight. You will get loot after the end of each of these, and this loot will be item level 86 from the bosses. Item level 86 loot only really comes in normal gameplay from the Shaper. Oh, it looks like I got piety. Only comes from the Shaper's Realm, with a couple of exceptions, like Memory Nexus zones that have got the mod that adds plus to the level of monsters. Oh, I've got Core. Yikes. I've not encountered the Core in here before. This is obviously the hardest. Oh no. No, it's not the Core. That is Piety Nightmare Manifest in the Core zone. So I was expecting to have to fight Malachi there, which would have been nasty. Malachi's probably the hardest of the map bosses, and that's even with him being a tier 15 boss. So you'd be scaled up to 17 here. Brutus hits like a freight train as normal, but his abilities are pretty easy to dodge. I wasn't careful enough. I'd got hit a couple of times. So let's just see the Shaper's quotes so far. I see you, little mouse. You don't belong here. Run along. And then he starts getting more and more annoyed. Turn back, trespasser. Cease this madness. You tamper with things you do not understand. Your recklessness will not go unpunished. This is your final warning. Leave or perish. At this point, you're going to fight the Shaper for the first time. He won't have all of his abilities, and he also, whilst he has 18.5 million life, I believe, you only need to get him down to halfway to win this fight.
You force my hand again, little mouse. So you've chosen to side with chaos. This is my world, and you shall obey my order.
So he has his big beam of death. He has his slam. This is the slam. That hits for 11,000 physical damage. You do not want to ever get hit by that. Okay, this is an ad phase. These ads will attack Zana. You need to preserve Zana's life. It doesn't matter in the first fight, but oh, there I go. I've detonated a volatile anomaly and failed the challenge that I was trying to get here. Anyways, that's fine. I'll get that another time. That anomaly will not disappear, and it will not move. Slam. His most deadly attack is that triple ball that you just saw. If the first one of those hits you... there we go. The Shaper now teleports you off, and he will heal while you run back to him. So you're under a time limit, you've just got to go and kill mobs. Doing this will give you flask charges, which is always nice. These are tier 17 monsters, but I don't believe they drop any loot at all. So there's no real need to kill these. except for the fact that they're in your way. They don't appear to be giving me experience, or if they are, it's not very much. What they do though, is they recharge your flasks. You want to make sure that when you get to the end of this, you're going to have to fight a mini-boss, and then that'll get you back to the Shaper. These zones take place in random maps, which I've always found is a cool touch, because the Shaper is the architect of all of the maps, we believe. Or at least he's not the architect of them, but he's been manipulating them all. If you're a bit more versed in the lore, and especially the lore that came later, you'll know that he's manipulating them for the purpose of fighting the Elder. Now, this mini-boss isn't the dangerous one, it's the next one that's the dangerous one, but you do not want to stand close when he does that slam. Just like Shaper's slam is one you've got to get the fuck away from, so too is that the case with this guy. When you kill him, portal is spawned. This will take us back to the Shaper's arena. So precast any spells you need to, and let's get ready. He's got a deadly new move that will get shown off soon.
Father, it's me. Let me help you.
It's called Bullet Hell, and you have to be in the center to survive it, pretty much. So that beam is dangerous, but not quite as terrifying as it looks. This is Bullet Hell. This is a dangerous move when there are no volatile anomalies active. That volatile anomaly there is what makes it deadly. Slamming. Oh, just dodged that. Alright, now at this point, these mobs are going to attack Zana. This is actually really bad news for the moment, because if Zana dies, you can't really get through Bullet Hell easily at all. You will not have a safe zone. So you need to protect Zana. I'm going to detonate. What's going on here? Oh, I've completed the fight. Okay, cool. He's going to pick up some new moves. Bullet Hell remains the most dangerous of them, but there will be a cloned version of the Shaper that will join the fight this time. He will have that triple projectile attack that is so deadly. You'll notice that everything I'm doing is focused on dodging triple projectiles and slams. Those two abilities are basically one-shots. It is possible to survive them both, but it requires a very heavy investment in defense, and surviving a crit slam is extremely lucky. You won't necessarily get the same layout as I've got here when you're running the Shaper. You may get a different layout. The other thing that's important to know with the Shaper, you'll notice I've mentioned how dangerous his long-distance projectiles are, the triple projectile. That's the attack that you must dodge here as well. Doesn't look like it, but it's deadly. And you have no real warning it's coming. You do not want to stand in melee range with this guy at all. Ever. Sorry if you're a melee character. Okay, there we go. So the triple projectile attack, when it comes at you, if the first one hits, it can freeze you. If it freezes you, you will be killed by the second or the third one. The Shaper doesn't use that if you're in melee range, but in the third fight, that's not always an option.
These memories are mine. I cannot lose them.
They lie to you, Father. I am your true memory.
To save the future, the past must be sacrificed. Erased by this.
Stay close.
Alright, here we go with Bullet Hell. This first time that he Bullet Hells, you won't have any volatile anomalies up, so you can safely dodge it. He will finish with that, which isn't as bad as it looks. It is dangerous, but it's not as bad as it looks. Pop the volatile anomalies immediately, unless you're trying for the challenge to avoid them. And there's the fake Shaper throwing his projectiles of death at you as well. Here come the trash. If you fail these, then Zana will die, and so will you. So you must kill these whilst also monitoring the volatile anomalies and making sure that they get detonated in positions that you can easily deal with them, like that. Here's a slam. And he'll probably bullet hell soon. Here he is, he's bullet helling. You'll notice that there are no volatile anomalies in the way, except for that one. I'm going to have to out-heal that. Oh no, there is a space there that I can stand safely. Slam, and I just survived a slam. Okay, that's the entirety of the fight. It's as simple as that. I probably should have gotten killed by that last slam, but I did succeed in tanking it. 3 endurance charges helps with that.
The creature. Gods. How could we have known?
We'll stop it, you and I.
I'm so glad to see your face again.
And here you have a touching lore moment between Zana and the Shaper, who she's discovered is her father.
It's our only chance.
And along comes someone to ruin the day.
Foul beast. Once more into the abyss with you.
Father!
Ah! Oh, my mind. My memories. Fading. Ah!
And if you talk to Zana at this point,
His memories.
there is another touching lore note. At this point, grab the memory fragment if you don't already have it, and then go to the Templar laboratory, and a new door will unlock there. Anyways, that's the Shaper fight. If you've got any questions, ask them below. Otherwise, have a good one.